Everyone wants to feel like they are doing their best and that there's someone out there that cares about them. Okay. So there's been many times, and just for anyone out there to understand, many times that I personally have not felt a connection to a company, but a connection to a boss or a connection to the team and not the boss. Belonging is not a one size fits all.
Hey, it's Relationships at Work, a leadership podcast helping you build workplace connection, improve culture, and avoid blind spots. I'm Russell Lolliker, your host of this podcast, a communications and leadership expert with a couple of successful decades under his belt, and a heap of curiosity, just like you, on how we can make the workplace a better place. All week, we've been talking about belonging. We kicked off Monday with Dr. Beth Kaplan, getting into what belonging is, defining it, getting real clear about what we should be looking for. Tuesday, yesterday, was all about the relationship we have with ourselves and belonging and how we can prepare and understand what belonging looks like to us personally. Well, today, we get into that relationship we have with our teams, our colleagues, those around us, to really understand what we need to bring for them to understand belonging, for them to feel belonging. Because as leaders, we need to lead belonging. It's one of the things we need to lead because it is part of that whole diversity, equity, inclusivity equation. Though Dr. Kaplan has her own thoughts on that in relation to those things, and hopefully you'll find that very, very valuable. I know I did. Always fun to hear new perspectives on things. All valuable, but how do they relate to one another? Well, I'll shut up because Dr. Kaplan has much more interesting ways of presenting this information. So let's stop there and dig into the conversation. Hold on. So I'm a new leader. I don't have the relationships. I do not have the reputation. I do not have the network. I'm still trying to figure out my job. So in the organization, how do I approach others to provide that sense of belonging for my own team when they're just going, I don't even know if I can trust this guy? Like, how do you start that process?
Oh, my go-to move is always playing the new card, hands down. I mean, I could be somewhere for 3 years. I'm like, I'm new. Nice to meet you. I'm Beth. Because in all honesty, it buys you a lot of lenience around people thinking, okay, she doesn't know and she's not coming in with preconceived notions. So what I would do is I may say, no, Russell, I'm new to this organization as the leader. Obviously, you've worked with me for years. What's the reputation of my organization? Do people like working with us? What could we do better? How would you like to see the partnership? And is it okay with you if I also share some feedback around how the team sees this going as well? So guess what? Beginner mindset not only works for experienced leaders, but it's wonderful for actual new leaders. And here's the thing. New leaders really get excited about this. In fact, sometimes they can come in like a bull in a china shop. That is probably the hardest part for new leaders, is not coming in and trying to change the world. So as a new leader, if you're wanting to secure the positive vibes that you got going, you want to observe a little more. You want to ask certain questions to the employees that you've inherited, right? You may want to say, what did you like about our last leader? What didn't you like? What makes you excited about your job? And maybe what's not going as well. And then you really want to do something that's incredibly important. You want to reinforce that you've listened, you've learned, and that you're taking the changes that they need to see. That's the key difference, right? It's not always about your mission as a new leader. In fact, it's rarely about your mission. You need to meet people where they're at and make sure that you're getting the best from them by doing what they need. And then little by little, that's when the team comes together and it feels like you're all working together on the same page.
We're talking a lot about connection. We're talking a lot about,
Yes.
With our teams, which always brings me back to one of the foundational things any great leader should have, which is communication skills.
Yes.
How does communication show up, tone, frequency, when we're trying to get this sense of belonging? Communication has to be so important, but we also have to be intentional about it. How do we approach communication?
Well, there's a few different ways. So I'll stick with the leader track for a second. One of the easiest ways that you can maintain communication is by having regular one-on-ones. And I know you're all thinking out there, of course I do that. But are your one-on-ones led by you or are they led by the employee? So for me, one of the things I do when I take on anyone is I like to tell them that the agenda is theirs. but just to save me like 10 minutes at the end, maybe, for anything I may want to blurt out, because it is within our nature as leaders to do the complete opposite. It's within our nature to be like, okay, Russell, I've got 15 things I need to review with you within this 5 minutes that we got. Ready? Go. And this is the thing. People want your time and they want your attention. And sometimes they're nervous to approach you because they think they're bothering you. So what you want to do is you want to make that time your own. And then if you need more time, schedule it with them separately. At the same time, within those one-on-ones, there needs to be a safe space. There needs to be time for professional growth and development and safety. Okay. So that may look different for every single person, but it's making sure that you're giving the time. There are certain things that you'll notice with your employees. If they're literally keeping it to a strict agenda and it's a punch list, that's a red flag. It's a red flag because you want to make sure that it's not singularly focused on the work. And that's really hard to do. So for me, I'll get real with you. I've done this many, many times where I use plenty of avoidance tactics. And by the way, they've gotten me promoted. I hate to say it, but it's one of those things where my boss is super busy. So what I'll do is I'll get out of one-on-ones. You're so busy. I don't need you this week. I'm going to give you back the time. And then what happens? She's like, oh, you really get me. I have to tell you, there was a conversation that I had where I was honest. I said, listen, I am asking you to keep me accountable because I'm just going to keep canceling because I'm either nervous to talk to you because of my communication or yours.
Mm.
And I'm going to quit on the one-on-ones because I know it makes you happy. And I will tell you, ever since I said that out loud, it's been amazing because I was terrified to say it. And that leader keeps me accountable now, does not let me get out of it, and always starts the conversation with, how are you doing? What's new in your life? And it's made all the difference in the world because that conversation was a punch list before.
I love that story, but it also breaks my heart quite a bit. You've literally just taught your leader how to lead.
A little bit. But you know what? I will tell you, it's the best thing I did in my relationship with the leader because they've told me time and time again how uncoachable they felt. So maybe I could have led with that one in the story. But at the same time, leaders are not born, they're made. So while it may feel funny that I actually was teaching the leader on how to lead, that's okay. I'm willing to bet most of my leaders, as most of your leaders, were promoted because they were good at their job.
Not
Doesn't
leaders.
mean they were good leaders. And I
Yeah.
never had leadership development until I was a leader for more than 15 years. I'm willing to bet that generations before me never received leadership training. So anyone out there, learning and leadership is bi-directional. Do not feel bad if you're giving your leaders that type of feedback because they are not telepaths, most of them, and they're not going to get inside your head. And assuming that they know how to lead you could be a fail.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I have a challenge with sometimes in conversations about this because what is our expectation of leadership? Well, most of them aren't leaders. To be
That's right.
completely blunt, by the definition of leadership, they're
Yes.
not leaders because they're too busy to be leaders.
Yes.
And that's another problem because their boss, to your point, all leaders are employees. Their
Yes.
leader is not being a leader. We're just perpetuating this leadership brokenness across organizations. So I totally get that from we need to help our leaders be better leaders,
Yes.
but so do leaders need to help leaders be leaders. And it's sort of we're in this middle of push and pull,
Oh, yeah.
which
Yeah.
just is more frustrating.
Yeah.
Even though there are bright lights and there's certainly opportunities, it gets frustrating that we have to junior staff who have no leadership development have to teach their own leaders how to develop.
You know, yes. And another way to look at it, though, is that we help each other grow through this
Sure.
process. I have, in the past, where I've gone wrong is I always think all of my leaders have to be so much better than me. It's so important that they know more than me, that they understand more than me. And here's the thing, that's not always the truth. And it's very rarely the truth. You need each other to be successful. By definition, to your point, leaders need followers. And there are followers and then there are just employees. Would you, the question I ask most people is, would you follow your leader to the next job? And if you're a leader out there, that's maybe one that you want to take to heart.
And that will do it for the third part in our 4-part series on belonging with Dr. Beth Kaplan. This is Relationships at Work, a leadership podcast helping you build workplace connection, improve culture, and avoid blind spots. I'm your host, Russell. Thank you so much once again for joining us. Thank you for prioritizing belonging. There are so many people begging for it in their organization. They just need to feel like they belong. And I know we talk about it, but the steps that we need to take to actually make it felt, the actions, so important. So thank you. Anyway, thank you again for listening to Relationships at Work. If you've enjoyed the podcast, let me know. hello@russelllalliker.com. I'm very available for you to let me know how I'm doing, good or bad, but it's always a learning experience. Anyway, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you again soon.